All right, well, good afternoon, everyone, and happy Wednesday. It's digital host A.J. Wuest welcoming you back to Before the Four. Of course, the live stream where I go through some of 48's top news stories and then some before our 4 o'clock newscast. Wherever you're watching Before the Four this afternoon, whether it's on Facebook, YouTube, or the 48 Now live stream, as always, thank you so much for watching and spending just a bit of your Wednesday afternoon here. Now, let's begin with a little bit of the damage last night. A terrifying night last night for many communities here in the Tennessee Valley as several tornadoes formed, wreaking havoc on many homes and buildings. The storm began yesterday afternoon in the Shoals and swept its way east until reaching the Sand Mountain area around 9 last night. What you're seeing on screen now is some footage of the aftermath in the Killingsworth Cove community down in Gurley, an area that saw some of the worst damage. We'll have more on Killingsworth Cove coming up in a few minutes, but today our reporters will be focusing on that storm damage from across the valley. Thankfully, the severe weather is finally out of here, but let's first turn over to Chief Meteorologist Brad Travis for a look at what to expect the rest of the week. Brad?
Just a beautiful day out there. They're letting water out there at Wilson Lake and Wilson Dam after all the rain we've had lately. Severe weather threats gone for a while. We're still in May. We'll have to watch the storm systems as they come our way, but I don't see anything it's anything like what we just went through coming up down the road. As far as your forecast for tonight, we'll see clouds increasing. There's no rain out there right now, but looking good on the parkway. It got warm today, 80 degrees. I think the cooler air will start moving in overnight tonight. We should be in the 70s for the rest of the week with morning lows in the 50s. No rain on the radar, and you can see to the north, that's where the cooler air mass is. That would be nice, at least for one day, maybe 59, say, in Des Moines, 54 in Chicago. Here's your forecast for tomorrow. Still a bit of a breeze out of the west-northwest, gusting to about 15 miles an hour. But today, it's been gusting around 25. Over the next 3 days, 77 tomorrow. A few morning showers. We'll be talking about that at 4, 5, and 6. And then 76 Friday. Friday looks like a really nice day. Real nice end of the week, especially with some of those graduation ceremonies going on. And then Saturday, we may be increasing this chance to maybe 40% based on the latest guidance.
Well, that is good to know, Brad. Thank you. Good news there. And speaking of weather and the storm damage from last night, many of you all sent in photos of that damage. Let's take a look at some of what you all sent in. And then this right here is a photo from Madison. It is a very big lightning strike. This is actually from Madison Hospital, from the window at Madison Hospital. This was sent in from Jesse Jones when the storm was rolling through Madison last night. Jesse, thank you for sending that in. Beautiful shot there. This is some storm damage here. Multiple trees down on Monte Sano. Now, Monte Sano was an area that was affected greatly. A lot of trees down, a lot of limbs. Looks like it did some damage to this shed's roof, the roof of that shed there. This was sent in from K Quarter. Here is another photo. Multiple trees and power poles down just south of Rogersville. This is on County Road 605, just off County Road 91. This one was sent in from Rob Young, and yep, you can see those power lines down. Definitely not a pretty sight there. And then here is some damage in Gurley. Gurley was, of course, as I mentioned, the Killingsworth Cove community greatly affected. It wiped out a lot of the houses in one of the neighborhoods. Very strong storm passed by Gurley, and this was sent in from Danny Story. And then we have a few more. This is some storm damage. A tree fell on this house in Madison. A pretty big tree as well, sent in from Amy Phillips. And just looking at some of this hail, this looks like it's about baseball-sized hail, really, in Athens. This shot was taken off Mooresville Road in Athens, sent in by Lindsay Good. And yes, that is some very big hail right there. But thank you all for sending in some storm damage photos. Definitely appreciate it. You guys kept us all busy last night. We were seeing all the photos you all sent in, and we were posting it as we were getting it in, so greatly appreciate it. If you ever want to send us some photos, you can find it on WAFF.com. You'll have the option to send us your photos, but definitely they are greatly appreciated. But speaking of the Killingsworth Cove damage, 48's Matthew King went down there earlier today. Let's take a look.
We're seeing lots of displays of emotion, some hugs, some family members coming to help out a Madison County family who lost everything. Here behind me, you can see their family home and workshop completely wiped out by a storm just last night. And across the street is the debris from that home. The storm was so powerful, it pushed everything across the street to this field right here in this valley. All the mud, debris, everything you see behind me was their family home and their workshop. Now community members out here to support the family after they lost everything.
At one point when we were watching the coverage, Brad Travis paused, took a deep breath, and he said, "Oh man, this is bad." And I told my wife, I said, "Hey," I said, we need to take this very serious.
Dusty Gibson and his family flocked to a storm shelter before another round hit his home head on. When they came back, they found devastation waiting for them.
The shelter, we were there for 10, 15 minutes, I guess, and heard it hit, and then came up here and just saw all the destruction. Everything you've ever worked for your whole life is scattered all over the community now, you know, in the matter of just minutes.
But despite the damage, he's counting his blessings knowing no one in his community was hurt.
All of this can be replaced, you know. We've worked hard to get to where we're at, and we'll work hard to get to where we want to be again. So I've got my wife, my kids, everybody's good, so that's, at the end of the day, that's the most important thing.
Also wiped out in the storm were the power poles. Here you can see it's just reduced to shreds here. And that's causing everybody here to be without power. It shut down Killingsworth Cove Road for the meantime as crews continue to pick up the damage. In Madison County, Matthew King, 48 on our side.
Thank you, Matthew. And also, you guys can get your weather radio programmed if you haven't done so already. We have our weather team today. They are at Forge and Build off Highway 31 in Hartselle today. They will be there until 5 p.m. You still have Jeff DeNoyer and our own Eric Burke. They are there, so if you still need to get your weather radio programmed or you have one and you've been meaning to get it programmed, today would be the day to do it. And I also see we have a comment on Facebook from Donna Oliver. D.O. from PC, how are you doing? Hopefully all went well last night. You are safe. Glad to see you on. Thank you for commenting, Donna. And we have another one. What was the tornado rated? Now, we are still waiting to get confirmation from the National Weather Service on what all these tornadoes were rated, what their EFs were. So we will update you all as soon as we learn that. But also stay tuned for Weather Extra tonight. That will be tonight at 9:30. First Alert Chief Meteorologist Brad Travis will be back here, and he'll be giving all the latest that he's seeing on the radar. So stay tuned for that. But now a very sad update out of Fayetteville. The toddler son of a Fayetteville man killed in a fiery Mother's Day crash has passed away. Now, just 2 months shy of turning 2 years old, Sawyer Gene Smith died from the injuries in a multi-vehicle wreck in Chattanooga on Mother's Day. The baby's father, Lane Smith, was killed shortly after the crash. The mother and their young daughter were also critically injured. In total, 3 people were killed and 6 people were injured. Now, authorities in Tennessee say 65-year-old Joseph Antonier was arrested on numerous felony warrants in connection to that crash. Very sad update there. But now, coming up after the break, we'll talk about an update to a murder in Maysville, in case you missed it. A mother suing Madison City Schools over the treatment of her daughter with autism, and some good news for the Fort Payne community, especially if you're looking to beat the heat this summer. It's all ahead. I'll be right back in 1 minute. Well, hello and welcome back to Before the Four. Now an update to a story in case you missed it. Yesterday, we learned more about the murder in Maysville, in which a man allegedly killed his own wife. 48's Faith Delp with more.
Madison County deputies arrested Gary Wharton for the murder of his wife after a shooting at his home right behind me on Step Court in Maysville. His wife's attorney told me she had been trying to leave him after years of abuse, adding that she was killed just hours after Wharton had been served divorce papers. Attorney Scott Rogers says the victim's name is Sherry Knutson. He says the couple had been married for 25 years, but that Wharton's behavior had grown more erratic and threatening over time. Madison County deputies confirmed to me that they had been at the couple's home for domestic violence calls twice in the last month. Rogers says Knutson wanted to leave and move back to her hometown in Oregon. He spoke to her just after the divorce papers were served and encouraged her to take steps to protect herself. He says sadly, the next contact he had was a phone call about the shooting. Rogers says her murder highlights the importance of improving protections and support for victims of domestic violence. Crisis Services of North Alabama Domestic Violence Director Sherelle Locke says early signs of domestic abuse include isolation, unrealistic expectations, sabotage, and keeping possible victims from finances. She says the best way you can help domestic violence victims is by being a support system. She also encourages anyone in a domestic violence situation to call a helpline or, if need be, the police.
All of our services are absolutely free. We are a very non-judgmental, non-biased organization, and we're ready to walk that path with you at the steps that you want to take. And it's okay to be scared, and at the end of the day, when they are ready, they will make that adjustment in their lives.
Rogers says Knutson was a kind, gentle, intelligent, and resilient woman. Wharton is being held in the Madison County Jail without bond as detectives continue to investigate this shooting. Reporting in Madison County, Faith Delp, 48 News, on your side.
And of course, we'll continue to update you all as soon as we learn more regarding this very tragic situation. But now staying in Madison County, a mother is currently suing Madison City Schools over the treatment of her daughter. 48's Callie Nee spoke with the family's attorney yesterday and has more.
I spoke with the family's attorney today, Eric Artrip, and he tells me the way Christy Kruger's daughter was treated was just wrong. Artrip tells me that Kruger's daughter is autistic and nonverbal, and it's when her mood started to change in 2021, that's when Kruger noticed something was wrong. According to court documents, multiple Discovery Middle School staff members mistreated Kruger's daughter. Court records say some staff members were taking her food, roughly pulled hair accessories from her head, and one staff member is accused of pulling Kruger's daughter by her hair into a shower in a self-contained classroom. Artrip tells me that Kruger's daughter does not like water on her face, and this is not what parents should expect of teachers.
I think for the most part, the educators in the public education system are conscientious, good people who are there to do a job that they really believe in. But in this instance, I think we had some people that maybe they thought they were doing the right thing. I have no idea. But what they were doing, I think anybody would look at that and say that it was very wrong.
Artrip says since Kruger's daughter is nonverbal, it can be hard to know exactly what happens each day at school.
It's definitely a challenge when the child, like here, is nonverbal. But fortunately, we had some brave teachers' aides who came forward, took a stand, and said, this has to stop. So they reported it to the principals and then ultimately to the parents.
I reached out to officials from Madison City Schools, and they said they have no comment on pending litigations. Reporting in Huntsville, Callie Nee, 48 News, on your side.
Well, now Fort Payne residents, listen up. Summer might be a bit cooler this year. The city has decided to reopen their community pool. 48 Savannah Sapp has those details.
Fort Payne Mayor Brian Bain tells me a local business actually stepped in to help fix the broken gutter system here at the city pool, saving its summer season. In March, Bain told me the pool would have to close for the season due to multiple leaks in its gutter system. At the time, the city was looking at spending roughly $500,000 to replace the system. However, Bain tells me Sam Construction stepped in to help and was able to provide a temporary solution that would only cost between $2,000 to $4,000 and allow the pool to be open during the summer months. Bain tells me he is relieved families will have this resource for hot days, but leaders will continue discussions on how to fix the problem permanently.
So hopefully that will last, and it buys us a little bit of time to really think about it and look at our money situation and see what direction we need to go with that.
And Bain tells me the pool is expected to be open for the season during the last weekend of May. Reporting in Fort Payne, Savannah Sapp, 48 News, on your side.
Well, y'all, we do not have enough time for Facebook fun today, and I could rush one and do a quick Facebook fun, but our Facebook question of the day was so good today, we are going to wait and do it tomorrow. But what's a phrase you only hear in the South? That was the question. Feel free to leave a comment on our 48 Facebook question, and I might just shout you out at the end of Before the Four tomorrow. You all already have super awesome comments, and I'm looking forward to it tomorrow. But y'all, that's all the time I have for today's Before the Four. But thank you all for watching and spending just a bit of your Wednesday afternoon here. Enjoy tonight's evening newscast. Go get your weather radio programmed if you haven't done so already. They're out in Hartselle, and you can meet some of our awesome members of our weather team here. But y'all, have a great night, and thank you so much for watching.